Lastly, consumers make choices independently of each other. That's a big assumption. But we know that is not the case because you have two kinds of things happening in the market. First is this thing about joint decision making. There are many choice situations where husband and wife make decision together, parent and child make decision together, doctor and patient make decision together, or at least what pharmaceutical companies would like or not like to do, depending on which side of the fence you sit. Manufacturer and retailer, or car manufacturer and dealership. And then there is this whole beast of social influence. You get influenced by your social interaction with family and friends, and this whole, what Lenny talked about is social media and how it is impacting purchasing and buying behavior and so on and so forth. I'll just give you one example from an automobile industry because there was a study out, and this is the whole space. Lenny had better graphic, I still can see. And then here you are buying your car. Some statistics quickly, 38% use social media to research vehicle. 41% added a brand to consider based on Facebook post. 28% added a dealer to consider. 44% recommended brand to their social network. These are of the new vehicle purchasers. 47% recommended dealer to their social network. 58% vehicle purchaser posted comment on Facebook. Now your head is spinning with all these numbers. Mine is. So I'm just going to give out one last number, 170. Can anyone guess what that number is? Average number of friends that an average person has on Facebook. I have 0 because I'm not on Facebook, so I guess I'm still in Kansas. I need to take a flight, you know. So how do you incorporate social influence? And this is very burgeoning field because you know the difficulty is because it's that enough data is not there. If people are asking about ROI and things like that, and there's no good answer because to do any kind of good modeling, you need data. These are directional because research has been done in just one category versus another, like automobile or things like that. But it is a phenomena that pervades every. And there are, I'm just going to highlight some main points. That there is significant evidence of preference revision, meaning if you do a model without assuming social influence, and if you do a model with incorporating social influence, which is what this Bayesian updation mechanism does, so we will not concern ourselves with that right now, people do revise their preferences significantly. Conforming behavior for brands strongly preferred, meaning stronger brands, people get influenced by their friends and family. If they're buying higher level brands, they are going to go and buy higher level brand when they should not. Just the conforming part. Decrease in choice proportion of higher price levels, meaning they get more information who bought at what price. So that is resulting in aggregate towards lower prices. So if you had to take influence into account, it's driving people towards lower prices. And again, it may be just relevant to that product category, so we don't have enough, there's more research needed. Lastly, the impact is more for uncertain attributes and purchases involving greater uncertainty. That makes sense because that's when you ask for opinion. That's when you want, if people have bought something, what do they think and what not, and that's what they're posting, and that's what you are going and seeing, reading reviews and ratings and so on and so forth. So that makes sense. But this whole uncertainty part is where I'm really gonna go to the frontiers, you know, and say that uncertainty is what we call the error. When you make a choice, there is something that I can explain, which is what you explain by utilities or part words, that you prefer higher level price to lower level price by this much, or other way around. What I can't explain, whatever is going on in consumer mind, what I can't explain is your error and uncertainty. That's why in terms of R squared, you never get 100%. You strive to get as close as possible. There is a way to analyze those errors because all the advancement has been in trying to get better and better part words utilities. There is this whole lump which is unknown in a modeling sense. How do you figure out what is happening there, you know? So there are some technical terms where it will help you identify people who are really outliers, or they're doing something crazy. Maybe they are crazy, so you should get them out of the sample because otherwise it's contaminating your result. it does impact prediction accuracy. Maybe they're not crazy. Maybe they're just confused. Or maybe they're not paying attention in your study on the web page when they're taking your choice survey. Right now we can't separate the two. But this analysis tells you what is happening. Now this is a very technical graph. Yu Cheng did all the work, so again now I'm going to get to my third crutch, other than Olivia and Uma. Any questions related to that, ask him. You can see it's pretty skewed. Lot of errors, then decreasing, so it's not like a normal curve, so it's not distributed. I mean, some people are really crazy or confused or everything is happening. Now, holdout prediction, if you take total sample by itself, this is like 68%, which is pretty good for logit. That's what kind of you get in that range. There are high uncertainty people, meaning they have a lot of error. Prediction goes down 52%. For low uncertainty people, prediction goes up 83%. Now that's a wide variance. So for some people, you can really predict very well. For some people, you can really not predict well. Now, the question that is still here is, this does not answer is, why? Are they not paying attention when they're doing choice? Or is it just confusing, or that's how they are in the marketplace? So that part still needs to be worked out. And in fact, if the goal is to predict actual behavior as accurately as possible, the imperative, one thing we can do is to take away the confusion that they may be doing, not paying attention, and that is why whole max diff was that don't give them a lot of choices, don't give them just mind-numbing tasks and ask them to be repetitive. They are just going to give you whatever answer they want to give you. So the whole new research is focusing on trying to make choice methods and choice research more realistic and engaging. In terms of respondent engagement, it's preferable to give them more real tasks as opposed to hypothetical tasks. People are doing research in trying to say if you can provide a prototype, virtual or physical prototype, that's better than just giving descriptive things on the web page. It may not be possible, but if you can, that will give you better result. Gamification, the whole games. I know conjoint poker is going to follow, so that is part of the game. And incentive aligned, Olivia has done a lot of work in that, where you make it something worthwhile for them so that they stay true to the task and give you more true responses. So your whole thing can be, exercise can be much more meaningful when you have to apply it out in the marketplace. This is really the last one. So this is all about applying right methods to get the right answers. And that was my topic, realistic model of choice in practice. And you really have to stop and think, otherwise you don't know who is researching whom. You know, because otherwise they'll just be giving you answers because you want some answers, you know. But you want to be in control, trust me, because this gave me a somber thought, and I'm glad Uma is here and she'll throw some light on it. Is neuroscience turning the probe on us? You know, we used to put probes on them. Now they're getting probes on us, you know. So at this point, I think I'll stay true to my word and stop here and take any questions.
Thank you. I'll ask you a couple of questions and then we'll open it out for the audience.
Sir, I'm your colleague. You're going to cut me some slack.
Straightforward questions.
Okay.
What is your thought on how robust and useful the regular methods are, and how much is it necessary to jump to relaxing all these assumptions? Is it critical, or is it something that's less than that?
Great question. I'll be nice to you. No, in all seriousness, standard works pretty well. Most of the world is built on standards. So they have a pretty good foundation. As when I was consulting in pharma industry, people were just concerned that, and you should still be concerned, that you do a clinical study for 2 months, 3 months, and then they approve the drug. And it's not just enough data, you know, because sometimes the effect takes 10 long years. So I was consulting for Pfizer and for Lipitor. You know, we came out in marketing meeting brainstorming that they should start messaging saying the only drug with the longest running field evidence or drug test because they have been in market for so long. And all the results are there. It's not just clinical study that they did to get approval, but after that being in the market. So standard works pretty well. The idea of all these things is to push the envelope and understand the phenomena better. Now you can go and ask people, if you're doing your choice study, whosoever is doing it. In my market, I think really people have different choice sets. Things like that, questions like that. Should we have these many choices? What is the quality of data going to be? Is it going to be realistic? Is it going to be true to their actual preferences? You may still fall back on the standard stuff, but you will be deciphering the results in much more, practical fashion and appropriate fashion, and separate the grain from the salt and so on and so forth. So that is the advantage it gives you.
Okay. The second question, which is related to that, is talk about choice sets and how you can customize the choices. Can you explain that part a little bit better in terms of what you mean by customizing the choice sets for a respondent?
Yeah, that may not be the absolute right way to do it, but you can just assume that if in adaptive choice task, you see people always choosing certain kind of brand, not choosing certain kind of brand, you can be fairly certain and then ask a question whether what they have bought in the past, what they have likely searched about, what they are aware of, and then from that combination try to figure out that, okay, these are the brands that they will be more concerned about, and they will make more likely choices. Nothing is 100%, but that will give you, rather than just sitting in your office and saying, these are my 5 competitors. These are your 5 competitors. These are not that consumer's 5 competitors or 5 choices. So it's to get a mapping to that by asking some additional questions and then trying to get, the conjoint becomes difficult, 5-fold. If there are 5 different choice sets, you have to get 5 different designs and all implement it and all those things. But that is the back end part.
So if the market has 5 brands, let's say, but a particular consumer will consider only 2, the conjoint is tailored to those 2 brands for that consumer.
Yeah, you may miss something that really consumer is free to do what they want to do. They can tell you they are going to consider those 2 brands, and tomorrow they can turn around and buy the 3rd brand. Well, you can't do much. But if you put the incentive aligned and other things, improvements in the choice research, maybe they'll be more true. So when they say 2, more often than not, they mean true 2, and they stick to those 2. So why give them a 5-brand conjoint?
So you're talking about in the same study, one respondent could be answering for 2 brands, another one could be answering for 3.
For 3, another could be answering for 5, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, I thought your discussion of the soft attributes was very interesting. Question: how would you recommend handling a soft attribute which also has to be directional? For example, reliability. Probably few people want less reliable product more. But take something like design or styling. Everybody wants their product to look good, but the way it might look could be vastly different between one person and another. How would you handle a soft attribute?
Yeah, something, again, it doesn't exist only in isolation. Remember one other thing I talked about, prototyping. So if you have either a virtual prototype or a physical prototype where most of the thing with the tangible product or physical product, you can give them a prototype to feel or evaluate, look at the styling, not on the screen, but for real. Not possible in every instance. And then ask their opinion on what do they think, how do they rate it on styling, what do they think of styling, and then put it. It's not necessarily an attribute that you vary in conjoint, but it's a math model. You can append an attribute to include in the model from outside, even though it did not get varied in your choice task. So, but that is why I'm saying the mapping is difficult. Not only mapping is difficult, but also is it amenable to be included in the variations of attribute and level and to be described, which is where your question is. But it's by design tough. But there are a couple of ways, and there have been stuff in literature that have gone and done these things. So I can recommend those papers for you to read so that you can see how some of those things were implemented. And it may fit your problem, it may not, but at least it will give a lot of information.